when I was about 17, my dad passed away very suddenly. He was super fit, he was a doctor, he played a lot of tennis, and then, it was quite a bit of a shock, to have that happen at a young age, and all of a sudden you grow up very quickly. I grew up in Hong Kong for most of my sort of early life, and then moved to Australia. My girlfriend at the time was English. She spent some time out in Australia, and then she moved back to London, and I guess it was my turn to come out. You'll be happy to know she's my wife now. Don't think I particularly had my mind set on being a CEO or something like that. I originally wanted to be a doctor like my dad as a kid, but then I think going through university I quite enjoyed industrial design engineering, and then moved into management consulting, partly because I wanted to learn about business across a whole number of industries so relatively quickly, with the intent of setting up my own business. Consulting was a stepping stone to business. Running Crush and building Crush up was also a stepping stone, hopefully, to what I'm doing now, which is taking all of that experience and knowledge and being a better sort of investor, board advisor, and helping other companies grow. So Crush actually was set up by James, who's the founder of Crush, and he actually was trying to solve a problem for himself. He wanted to have healthy food and couldn't get it when he was working in the city. We joined forces to help build Crush and create it into what it is today. Back then, I thought food in London wasn't particularly great, and I brought a lot of, I guess, the experience from growing up in Hong Kong and in Australia, where you had lots of fresh food, very different way about healthy eating, and also the antipodean view of brunch and so on. And we were one of the first. We started back in '98 originally, so it's been quite a while. Yeah. Being a CEO is a lot of responsibility, and it really isn't for the faint-hearted. You get pulled in all sorts of directions, and I think part of the role that I see for a CEO is very much having the vision and providing the leadership for the team of where you're heading. And nowadays, more and more so around having a purpose, throughout what the business is and what you're trying to achieve. So you're always looking out for what is on the horizon, what's next. We're right at the nascent start of food tech for the next 20, 50 years. And it's very exciting actually to be involved with food tech at the moment. When I look at food and hospitality, it's probably the last retail sort of sector to be sort of disaggregated by the internet. The last couple of years we've seen Deliveroo, Uber Eats, Just Eat, all these delivery businesses that are now changing how we interact with food. And that's only going to get more and more prevalent. One of the things I'm interested in is that ability to do good for the world. So on the food side, I try to get involved with things that are healthy, related to healthy eating and so on, and doing good for the world. And education with 2 young children, you think about what the world is going to look like when you pass it over to them. I guess the vision of how business ought to operate should be around benefit for all, not just the shareholders. So the B Corp movement, I think, is just the way good business ought to be done. One of the things I am proud of with Crush is that steering the business and sort of guiding it through, both from growth, but then through recession and then growth again. That period of 2007, 2008, when the recession started hitting, that was quite a challenging experience, keeping the business alive and building it back to growth. And keeping the integrity of the brand, of the business, and of your team. And quite often, I guess, I look at entrepreneurs. Do they have that perseverance and that integrity and that vision to carry on through? Because in times of difficulty, it's very easy to change your views and things like that. But to stick with something and to get through that is a challenge. To understand how to do great food, I actually have to understand the whole spectrum. As an example, people talking about everyone's moving towards veganism and vegetarianism. One of the things I believe is that you're better off going to a great chef who understands food to cook you a vegetarian meal or a vegan meal, rather than necessarily just someone who's purely focused on veganism or vegetarianism, simply because understanding flavors and so on cuts across the spectrum. Even when I was running Crush, I would actually go home, I would do all the cooking, just because I enjoy it, and it's fun actually trying to bring in different ideas. But as long as it's healthier and it's got to taste good as well.